too much. Um, what's the most commonplace for people to get a stroke when they're doing something, and they put their head back like that, because it's when they get their hair shampooed at the beauty parlor, they have their head back. So the old ladies stroke out all the time. So I think chiropractors do it, but no, it's hair salons that do it. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to say now. So let's see where C7, C6, C5, C4. What I'd like to do is there's longest, and you've been through some of those. Where's the arrow? Yeah, so you can see this muscle here that's disappearing. So that's your longest capitis versus longest coli, and this is mainly sympathetic chain with some of the branches sympathetic chain here as well, but mainly that. And then this is vagus nerve, and I almost don't do any stellates anymore because I get unbelievable results on the vagus. And when you do vagus, ironically, if you do vagus high enough, you actually get the sympathetic chain is in the carotid sheath with the vagus, and you get a complete sympathetic and parasympathetic block. So I would say, on average, almost all my clients are just doing vagus blocks because you get such a Horner's, it's like you hit them in the head with a baseball bat. But my point is what I wanted to demonstrate was so here's the interscalene groove, right? And you guys have been through that. So this is your middle scalene, anterior scalene, and this is posterior scalene. Most people are taught that wrong, but this is attaching to the first rib, and this is continuing to go over the first rib to the second rib. And then you spin the probe, and then you can see it go past the first rib to the second rib. But my point is look at how I move the probe. Don't look over there. No, not you. You don't get to cheat. And then I'm going to say, I'm going to leave my anchor there. I'm going to turn 90. I'm going to re-grip. Then I'm going to look. That's what I see around the room, is a lot of people trying to do this stuff or do this stuff. And I'm telling you, you should have your anchor down, and you shouldn't be looking over there when you turn the probe. You should be looking at your probe and turning, and then looking up. Because even with that posterior scalene, one of the reasons that people are not getting it is because when they turn the probe, they do this, and they're not even on it anymore. Okay? So, and even more important, for us that actually use needles, which would be almost all of us, or all of us, put a needle in, and then what do? You look over there, and you see the needle, and then you start to advance and you lose the needle. And why is that? Because the needle's going to go toward where you're looking. And so then you look down, you're like, oh, I got to straighten it out. And then you look up, you see the needle, and then you start to advance and you lose it again. And you're like, oh, man, I got to do this. So reality is that only confirms what you're doing here. I would do 80 to 90% of my work like this: confirm, got it, confirm, got it, confirm, and then I can't do two hands of this, short axis, off to the left, a little bit of a redirect, okay, off to the right, but it's all here. And in English, I don't know what the word is for you guys, but they're mesmerized. It's like a trance, and they can't take their, I don't look at it, and they're like, what do you mean, don't look at it? They can't stop from looking at it. And the better you get, the less you're going to look at that. Because that is actually, like in fluoroscopy, that's the barrel. That's exactly where everything, and I'm assuming your nerve, you're more advanced. You should have a really good idea where 4 centimeters is. When you look over there, it's expanded. So you do this, well, that's going to be 8 centimeters. So you have to, so if you're like, I got to go to 2 centimeters, you shouldn't look over there and you go, I know where 2 centimeters is, it's right there, 2 centimeters down. Whereas if you look over there, you get too much. You're too close. So, enough of the, one credit. Okay. Yeah. So, first thing I do is and I think I already heard Stan talk about how that suprascapular nerve is going to take off. Okay, so suprascapular nerve is going to take off when you see the omohyoid, and then it's going to follow the omohyoid down. All right, so that when you know. But here's the serratus anterior, and ironically, the long thoracic, by the time the suprascapular nerve is following the omohyoid, the long thoracic has already come out. I mean, and so you have to look at the serratus, and here's the first rib, here's the plexus, and then here's this, again, we're going back to scalenes, and then middle scalene and posterior scalene, and as that middle scalene hits and that posterior scalene start to show up, then long thoracic shows up, and then you can see the suprascapular is going to come out and follow the omohyoid. But it's actually a little bit, as that omohyoid is there, I'm going to actually look at my scalenes, and I'm going to go back up. Like I said before, I always kind of go back and start over, and I can see I've got this starting over, and I know that the long thoracic is going to come out with 8, because the long thoracic is adding 5, 6, 7, and 8 together. And so you're following your middle scalene and your posterior scalene, and now your middle scalene is about to go away, and what's coming in? Your serratus anterior. So even if you don't see it, the point is it's going to be right over the serratus anterior. Yeah. And so what's it gonna? In my case, I'm really into posterior scalene. Well, guess what? What pinches the long thoracic first? The scalene. It's posterior scalene, because it's trying to sneak out of the plexus and get to the serratus anterior. So if you and again, I would bet that 90% of the world has no idea.